Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So on the agenda tonight, we are going to be taking a look at Yungblud, and I've had a lot of requests for not only this video I'm going to be looking at tonight, but just to look at him in general, because the thing that I was asked about was the MTV tribute performance with Steven Tyler, and to look at those vocals, because in the request the person thinks that the vocals have been pitch corrected. So I did look into that, but the more I looked into it, the more I found. So I'm going to be looking at a few other performances, and we're going to be diving into those as well. As always, the links are in the description below if you want to watch the videos without me interrupting them or analysing them. And just before we jump into it, full disclosure, I hadn't heard of Yungblud before the Back to the Beginning last show that Ozzy Osbourne did. I saw that he was talking to Ozzy, I think, backstage, and obviously I saw him on the MTV tribute to Ozzy Osbourne, but before that I hadn't heard of him. Now, since doing the research and looking into things, I have seen that his name is quite prominent on the internet, with people talking about him as an artist and a singer, and, you know, being rock and roll, or maybe not being quite as authentic as people want him to be. Obviously it's all subjective. I am going to give my opinion on that. As you can probably tell from the way that I look, I like to think that I have listened to some music in the past that might be relevant in the same kind of ballpark as is being discussed on those different threads. So first of all, we're going to jump into the MTV VMAs performance of Mama I'm Coming Home, and we're going to be listening to Steven Tyler to begin with, because he starts the vocal, and this is the performance that I was asked to look at. So we'll jump into it.
Time change, time is strange. Here I come, but I ain't late. Mama, I'm coming home. Time gone by. Seems to me you could have been a better friend to me. Mama, I'm coming home.
So I'm just going to jump in here because this is the official release, by the way. It's not crowd shot footage, and this is absolutely live, absolutely unedited. This is just Steven's voice, and I mean, we can get into the whole side of it, being a fan of Steven Tyler's and his vocal surgery that didn't quite go as planned, and then his retirement, and then, you know, coming out of retirement to do this performance, and also at Villa Park. And I mean, I think his voice still sounds great, and he's still got that pitch accuracy, and yeah, it's amazing that he can still sing to this level, you know, given what he's been through. But I will just let this play on.
You took me in, you drove me out, yeah, had me hypnotized. You lost and found and turned around by the fire. You made me cry, you told me lies. I
mean, we've got, what, that's that G sharp 4. We've got some high notes going on here, so guys will know that this is top end of the male tenor range, and yeah, he's still getting these notes, which is amazing. But as I just run this through, totally live, totally unedited, and what I love about this is that for me, this is rock and roll, just everything that Steven's been through, getting up there and just singing fully live. And I guess we'll probably reference this later on in the video, but just that attitude of, I think, when looking at comments made by other people on other channels, for me, rock and roll, I mean, it's not really about being strict with a performance or worrying too much about it. It's about the attitude of the performance and what you get from it, and the identity of the band and the singer, and, you know, the fact that it is what it is. You can like it or lump it. But anyway, let's listen on.
Now listen. It could be right, it could be wrong. It hurts so bad, it's been so long. Mama, I'm coming home.
I mean, this still, to me, just sounds great.
Selfish love, yeah, we're both alone.
So, Yungblud comes in, and what we're looking at now on screen, now I'll let it play on.
Ride the waterfall, yeah. I'm gonna take this honest stone. I just gotta have it all.
So, when Yungblud comes in with his vocal, I mean, I initially thought, and just listening to this when I sent the video, I thought, oh yeah, they have pitch corrected his voice, because as soon as Stephen stops singing, you can see that we suddenly get calibrated.
Selfish love, yeah, we're both alone.
So here, we're now really tight over A440, especially up here, down here as well. And here, you know, C#4.
I'm gonna take this.
So anyway, I mean, we do have two vocals going on at the same time because Stephen's singing with Yungblud. So the signal will get lost. But looking at it, then what I did was get the crowd shot footage up on screen. So now when we start to break this down, I mean, I've been looking at these graphs for years, so I know from looking at this that it is the same vocal. So it means that the official release hasn't been pitch corrected afterwards. This was the sound made at the time. And just to try and explain things, because with crowd shot footage you have to account for ambient noise, things that will throw the signal off. But what we're looking for are just the common trends. So from left to right, for example, here we have this C#4 and we just descend a little bit and then we have a little peak here. The crowd shot footage, we descend from the C#4 and we have this little peak. So the personality of the pitches hit do match from left to right. And when we're looking at it, I'll tell you what, let me just move it back a little bit, see if we can get any more similarities going on. Like here, for example, the A3, we just come up and hook over the A3 here, and A3 we come up and hook over here. Down here, we're slightly flat of the G#3, slightly flat of the G#3. So we've got the same pitches when they are being heard by the pitch monitoring software. Another example here, A#3, B3, right between the notes here, A#3, B3, right between the notes here. So when it is hearing it, and this is back to Steven Tyler's vocal, we know that it's the same audio, but Steven Tyler's vocal was not calibrated to A440. As, I mean, this clearly shows that we're kind of being between notes and he does kind of drift. But when we now get later on in the performance, we do have this calibration. So if it's not pitch correction, there's only one other explanation for being calibrated to A440, and that is using Auto-Tune Live. So we're going to look at it in a bit more detail. And I know that when I say it's Auto-Tune Live, that some people might say, oh no, he's just that good at singing, hitting notes. I'm not, this isn't an opinion of mine. I'm now going to show you why it's Auto-Tune Live and cross-reference it with other live performances that are also using Auto-Tune. So I'm just going to let this play.
But I don't care about the sunshine, yeah.
You can actually hear it. If you've got an ear that is sensitive to the processing sound of Auto-Tune and A440 standard pitch equal temperament, you can hear it where it's working to hold it to these notes. And obviously here it's just planting it directly over the C#4. And now we get this, and the Auto-Tune doesn't really know which one of these notes to go to, the C4, the C#4. And what's also great is that this is an insight into how Auto-Tune is developing, because in previous analysis videos where a vocalist has been using Auto-Tune, it will sound like a flip. You get na, and it will have that sudden jolt. Whereas now they're making those sudden jolts into smoother movements in order to get away with it. Or should I say make it less noticeable. But listen to this again. This na, it's trying to take it down to the C4 because it's not sure whether it's a C4 or a C sharp 4. Now we're just going to jump into the end of the performance because we go from Steven Tyler's vocal into Yungblud's vocal, and it's great because we can see with the pitch monitoring software how the notes differ from Steven singing fully live to then a vocal that's being calibrated to A440. And you can already see here Steven's between notes and then a little bit flat here and a little bit, well, quite a lot sharp to the G sharp 4, but it's just, you know, a loose, free vocal. It gets to go where it goes. And here with this E4, again, it's just been snapped to the octave above. It's picked up a harmonic there, but it's perfectly over what would be the E5. And then the F sharp 5 has been plotted exactly there, comes down to the F sharp 5 again, which is actually the F sharp 4. And then we come down again perfectly on A440 of the E4. And then Steven's vocal comes in slightly flat of the E4, and then in between F sharp 4 and G4. Now Yungblud's vocal comes in calibrated to E4. And again calibrated here, and it sounded here again like it's doing a bit of a wobble. It doesn't know, you know, which note the singer is wanting it to be calibrated to or kind of snapped to. In this case, the D4 is where it should have gone down to. But this is what happens if you are using auto-tune and you're a little bit too far away from the note. You're giving the processor a decision to make because it's not going to know really where this note should be. And that's why previously we have heard flips, but not in this case because this is like the more advanced, up-to-date version of auto-tune. So I've actually just moved it back in the performance to have a listen to changes because with this auto-tune you can see and hear how it's been dialed in, and it's not really strict. There's always going to be a humanizer effect or a differential that's dialed in so that it's not really obvious, but I would still say that this is quite heavily dialed in. Let's have a listen.
She was my woman.
When the thing is, you'll be able to see it clearly on screen that the G4 calibrated, even the D4 for a split second calibrated, E4 calibrated and calibrated again, and this is the same audio that was happening live. So this is the live sound, and we know that from looking at crowd shot footage and having the same lines that are calibrated. So this is definitely happening at the time of this performance, meaning it is auto-tune live.
I loved her so.
And here's the issue. I've just made it full screen so that we can see it a bit more clearly. The issue is, with this particular rundown, we've got I loved her so, and we should be going down to the G3. And what's happened is, down here we've gone I loved her so, and we have a couple of peaks that are getting pushed towards the G sharp 3, and that's the auto-tune trying to adjust the pitch but to the wrong note. It should be the G3 that we should be on rather than having these two spikes. It's not, this isn't vibrato on the G3 of going na and having a controlled vibrato. It's two very quick snaps. So let's just have a listen to that again.
I loved her so.
And I mean, they happen really quickly, but hopefully you can hear that. So it kind of does that, gives it a quick flip 2 times. We'll let this play on.
I loved her so. But it's too late now. I've let her go.
Still a lot of calibration going on here. Again, E4 snapped to D4. Here, this little bit of differential comes in. We are slightly flat, but then we do get kind of, again, caressed up to the C4.
Yeah, I'm going through.
Now here, this really does sound like there's some extra processing going on just to, yeah, to keep it on this G4 because it is absolutely stuck on the line here. Hey, and another example where Yungblud's vocal was closer to the C sharp 4, so the it's gone to the semitone below. So let's just listen to that again. Clearly, the processor, it's trying to figure out, well, where was that note? And it's decided, no. It's just decided to kind of put it in there. And I think if you were singing that note, I mean, anybody singing that note, I don't think anyone would ever go, because again, that being a semitone off isn't where the melody should be, but just musically, that isn't right for what's going on in the background. I'll tell you what, let me bring in just very quickly the backing so we can listen to it in context. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's literally just an auto-tune snap. That's what's going on there. On hearing this smoother version of auto-tune, I've cross-referenced it with another couple of performances. This is from BBC Radio 1 Live Lounge, and it's a cover of Bittersweet Symphony, the Verve, and I'm just going to let this play.
To the next I can't change.
Isolated vocals, of course.
My mold, no, 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 no.
And we're getting exactly the same thing here, where we've got this clear calibration to A440 just stuck on the C sharp 4 here and the F sharp 4 here. Now, when I bring in the backing vocals, you'll be able to hear.
No, no, no.
So those two notes are being absolutely calibrated to the point where it sounds like just holding keys on a keyboard. I mean, ironically, that's exactly what it is, A440. So I say this in other videos where there's either really heavy pitch correction or auto-tune being used live, where you've got not only the lead singer hitting A440 right between the eyes to 0 cents, you've got the backing vocalist also doing the same thing. So the thing about this is, as we kind of move it forward, you'll see with the lead vocal, again, really tightly calibrated to A440 as we work our way through. Let's have a listen.
Airwaves are clean and there's nobody singing but me now.
And here, I'm going to get rid of the lead vocal, have a listen. No. That auto-tune flip, and it picked it up on this side. And this is the thing, because we've got two vocals going on at the same time here, sometimes the backing vocal is seen as a lead vocal and vice versa. But we can clearly see this is where that little flip happened. The G sharp 4 to the A4. I'll take it back. And absolutely classic auto-tune. So that was more of a flip because it happened so quickly. So in this performance, we know that the lead vocal is getting calibrated to A440, and we know that even the backing vocal is going through auto-tune, because that's as clear as it gets. Let's listen on.
In my mode, but I'm a million different people from one day to the...
Hey, and there... No. It sounded like we had a semitone run-up on the backing vocal. Let's listen to this again. There we go. No. And that isn't a melody that's being replicated by Yungblud. That's the auto-tune snapping instead of going sliding up, which she would be doing that live. That's what her voice would sound like, but going through auto-tune, that slide up turns into because it's snapping to notes. It's just basically doing its job. Unfortunately, I mean, the more I'm listening to this, I'm now spotting stuff all over the place. Have a listen to this backing vocal again. I mean, what was going on there? It's snapping it to the A4, back to the G sharp 4, and then it tried to snap it up to a B4. So that's what the note is. It shouldn't be snapping it anyway, but obviously maybe her voice kind of slipped a little bit higher and it wasn't really sure of the note that it was supposed to go to. But yeah, really weird stuff going on now. Yeah, I'm just going to take this to the end because you can still see that calibration going on the left-hand side.
They said that I would change, you would change, it could change. Somehow we stay the same.
Okay, and I mean, there's the piece de resistance at the end where we can see that we're really heavily calibrated. B3, come down, A sharp 3. Here we do actually come up and touch the G sharp 3, down, F sharp 3, hold the note, and then right at the end, the auto-tune has a bit of a, I don't know, I was going to say issue, but maybe that's putting it lightly. Have a listen again. Nay. It kind of does this weird thing at the end. So, and again, these are not the noises that you make with vocal cords. Have a listen again. Na. And it's kind of doing it in steps as it ascends. So, yeah, here we have what I would say is the same thing going on as the performance that we looked at previously, going through auto-tune and this obvious calibration on the pitch monitoring software, but this smooth edging towards notes, even if they're incorrect notes. So as you guys know, I am thorough with my analysis videos. So once I'd noticed it in the MTV VMAs performance and then in the BBC Radio 1 Live Lounge performance, I then went back to the beginning performance, Villa Park. So we're going to be taking a look at that. And here we have the crowd shot footage, and on the right hand side is the official release, and it's exactly the same as the MTV official footage in that it is the same audio. So we can see on screen here the way that we get this replication of the lines happening, I mean, all the time, because it is going to be the same. And if I just kind of grab this and move it across, you'll see how once we get into the correct position, you'll see how the lines go over the top of themselves, you know, especially kind of this top section here and this top section here. So there hasn't been, I don't think that there's been really a great deal of editing on the official release, but it's because the audio is already calibrated to A440. So what happens is when a performance has finished, generally what will happen is pitch correction is then applied to the vocal, and pitch correction is a calibration to A440. But if it's already there, you don't have to edit it. But this is already there because this is auto-tune live again. So it shows that auto-tune was being used at the Villa Park performance, you know, during the Back to the Beginning concert. So it means that we've got 3 shows that are all using auto-tune, and I have looked at other performances, and I would say if I heard a performance that wasn't using auto-tune, but I haven't been able to find one. We'll listen to crowd shot footage. So this is crowd shot footage, and we're calibrated to A440. So this isn't something that's been pitch corrected afterwards. This is happening live. And the only explanation for this kind of thing being directly over the G4 held for this amount of time is auto-tune live. So let me just let it play.
Love together, we found a way.
You can hear it working in there.
The center world.
Hey, and here we go. Another snap to the wrong note. world. It should be there, world, and it goes world. So yeah, C#4, it's trying to snap it to there. If you didn't hear it, we'll listen in slow motion. World. So it did snap it here. You can clearly see C#4, and then it tries to get it back down to the C4. Yeah, and then we're kind of back to calibration here, and we do have this again. It's not a really heavy auto tune. I think if it was really heavy all the time, maybe more people would spot it. And just for reference, I don't know if Yungblud uses auto-tune live because that's his sound or that's what he goes for, and he lets everybody know that he is using it live. But I don't know, for me, using auto-tune live, it just gives me a weird feeling, especially when it's like a rock performance or maybe in that bracket kind of thing. Because yeah, I just imagine that, say for example, 30 years ago, Steven Tyler's performing a duet with another singer, and before the show, the other singer brings on a box, and Steven Tyler would say, well, what's that? And he says, oh, well, this is just to keep my vocals on pitch so that, it's exactly on A440. I think rock singers would say, what? They'll probably get laughed out of the arena or the stadium or wherever they might be singing, because rock singers don't use auto-tune, or at least they haven't previously. So again, for me, it goes against the whole ethos and the whole attitude of being a rock singer, of, it is what it is, and we don't really care what you think. It's all about the attitude. It's all about the authenticity, the integrity of just being who you are and just doing what you do. But then having, I don't know, it kind of feels a bit contrived to go out and give a rock vocal that's going through auto-tune. So it's like, well, I'm more worried about being calibrated to A440 and not sounding bad than just using all my attitude and the voice that I have. For me, some of the best vocals of all time haven't been accurate because of the attitude. But anyway, I mean, yeah, that's just my opinion on it.
My heart was blinded, love went astray.
Yeah, it just sounds a bit weird when we're so calibrated, but I'll just move on a little bit. Oh, hang on. Again, here, we're losing the signal a bit. And it's trying to take it down again. We kind of start on the D4. It's trying to take it down to the C#4. Hey, right, so here we go. It's a little bit quiet. I'm not sure whether you heard that, but exactly the same thing that happened on the MTV performance, where the held note is being moved up and down. Let's have a listen again. No, it should be G4, but it was taking it to the G#4. It's trying to take it up there. So yeah, but again, it's not a flip. It's now quite a smooth movement that we're getting. And again, absolute calibration with this A4. Right, I've skipped it forward a bit. And that's, I think, the clearest example we've had yet, where it snapped it to the G4 again. This is exactly where it was snapping it before. It's gone there, and this happened in a fraction of a second. Listen. And then we're back down, and you can see how unforgiving the auto-tune is on this G4. It's absolutely snapped it there. Have a listen again. And, I mean, adding insult to injury, the G#4, when it snapped it exactly onto that G#4 and then took it back down to G4 where it should be. I'm going to move it forward a bit. And here we have it again. the flattened sixth. Here, down to there. I've just grabbed the guitar to quickly demonstrate, because if you don't know this song, we are over a C chord here. So the run should be na 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 na, like that. So here we've got this fifth. I won't get into too many details, but the note that we've got going on here is a flattened sixth, which here, na, na, that's the note that auto-tune is taking it to. Now, I mean, if we're trying to get that note into a chord, I loved her so, then you'd have to play a C sus2 with a flattened sixth in there. So, I mean, I'm not having a go at that chord. It's a very nice chord, but that's not the chord in this song. Therefore, when that vocal happens and it's snapped to the wrong place, that's why it sticks out so much. Anyway, yeah, all I wanted to do by looking at other performances was to try and find the same anomalies from the MTV performance that was happening live in other performances, and we've got that now. So yeah, like I said, I don't know whether it's common knowledge, and he's quite open about it, but you can see with the pitch monitoring software, with crowd shot footage, it's not post edited and post pitch corrected, it is being calibrated live, which is auto-tune live. That's what's happening here. So I think with the discussions that are going online about, you know, authenticity, integrity, all that kind of stuff, and you know, you got the hardcore rock and metal fans that are maybe watching Yungblud and saying that it doesn't seem like it's genuine and all that kind of stuff. Again, it's all subjective, but for me personally, I feel like this kind of thing is something that I've only really seen in analysis videos on mainstream pop acts and their vocals being calibrated at A440, because they might be dancing a lot and they can't really focus on the vocal. So when there isn't dancing and choreography and you're still using it, especially in this kind of setting, and in tributes to Ozzy Osbourne, who, by the way, didn't use auto-tune in his final performance, given all of the health issues that he had at that time, he still decided to sing naturally without any help. And for me, that's the embodiment of what it's all about. And you know, I've already said it in this video, what being Black Sabbath, being Ozzy Osbourne, what the whole attitude was, the personality of the band, and what fans buy into is that authenticity, that integrity, that they just do it. And I think fans do respect that. So yeah, for me, in this particular case, it doesn't really sit well, just because of, I mean, I'm not a fan of using auto-tune live anyway, regardless of who it is. I think if you're a singer, then you should have confidence in your own ability to sing, because that's what singing is. You know, pitch accuracy is a skill that is learned, and you get better at it, and great singers have great pitch accuracy because they've worked at it. And by not going through auto-tune, it means singers like Steven Tyler have a unique sound to their voice, because we've already seen in this video tonight that he's between notes, and not between notes because auto-tune is taking it there, it doesn't know where to snap it to, but because that is expression, and that's the unique expression of his voice, and why we know it as his voice, not only the tone, but the emotion of the microtones between these lines. And once you start auto-tuning vocals, you miss out on microtones and the things that, you know, great singers can do to you with their voice, hitting particular places that elicit an emotion from you as the listener, that unfortunately auto-tune isn't programmed to do that. It's programmed to hit a finite value. And I'm just doing an objective analysis video and just pointing out what is going on in these live performances and in that live performance that I was asked to look at in the first place. But anyway, thank you guys for requesting this particular video for tonight. As always, keep those requests coming to requests@wingsofpegasus.com. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys at the next one. Rock!